Right, so now we come to my section, and it's all about me.
Oh Lord.
Power
We
trip.
just went from the
Roll
most
back,
organized to the
you go,
least.
Liam.
Yeah.
So this section is all about, and we are going to go around the room, and we are all going to say a film and director that we believe deserves a second chance at their movie. Whether it be because of studio interference, or if we think not fully studio interference, but like if there's a film that you think the directors could have done better, but because of the circumstances didn't, say it, pitch it, say what you think. So I will go first because I decided it. So I am going to choose Aragon, mainly because it's a film that I didn't hate.
The one with the dragons?
The one with the dragon, yeah.
Jeremy Irons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rachel Weisz is the dragon.
Year.
Like,
give us a year.
2000
IMDb it.
2006.
Yeah, I remember.
I had it up. I just couldn't see. I couldn't see the number from
but
far
like
away.
the mouth didn't move. It was weird.
Well, yeah, because the dragon wasn't
It was a telepathic
speaking.
dragon.
It was
Yousef.
telepathic.
God, I remember too much of that movie.
I remember a little of it.
I didn't hate it, but I enjoyed watching it, and I thought it was just one of them dumb films that's quite good to watch. But then I vaguely remember there being some sort of drama at the time around studio interference on it. And then everyone hated it when it came out who was a fan of the books. So I've just thought, like, I think if you give that person a second chance, because there was some good things that he did, like the shots were all very good. Like, because obviously with it being a dragon and riding the dragon, there's a lot of shots that are all sweeping countryside and things like that. And I think all them shots looked really good. I don't think the fight scenes looked very messy. I think they looked good. So I think give him another chance. See what he does.
But Liam, just to clarify, you're not really asking about, and which is not what you just said, but you're not asking about it would be better CGI now versus CGI then. You're asking about, yeah. It was just not what you said. But just for those that go later, that's not really what you're asking, right?
No. So it's like, who do you think? So based on studio interference, who do you think, if they didn't have that studio interference, a la Snydercut, who do you think would possibly do a better job? We're not going to say that, yes, they're going to do an amazing job, because that's not guaranteed. But who do you think, if they got given another chance, could do that job? Not taking into account like modern day visual effects if it's an older film and things like that. Just simply, if they didn't have the studio interference, could they do a good job? Looking at it, and for me, I thought Aragon could be something that could have worked based on what I'd heard. Studio interference, which took out a lot of the stuff, which reading the books is quite integral and should have stayed in there. So I will go in order that is on the screen. So next I will go to Sohail. Are you going to unmute yourself, Tom?
Yeah. I was just trying to search for some more, but one of them, I think, I don't think anyone else will get these ones, but I remember watching Percy Jackson's films when they came out, The Lightning Thief. The second one I forgot, and I think they were about to shoot a third one, but then it got cancelled. I quite liked it, but it wasn't as, I actually, surprisingly, I read books as well. I read the books for them, and they were much more darker than what the studio realized, because it was made for, at my time when I was young, for kids. And even though I found it enjoyable, it didn't gain that much traction with adults. Another one would be the I Am Number 4 series. I think it's a 6-part book or more. I actually read the whole series. I'm quite surprised. I usually think I don't read books, but I used to. Maybe if they're like entertainment books, I would read. But I read them, again, more dark. The I Am Number 4 was quite weak on storytelling. I don't know who would shepherd them, like a new studio if they bought the rights or a new director. But I think because I'm getting older, I would like them to go darker, or at least go with the books. So those are 2 series which I don't think anyone remembered or frankly cared about. But yeah.
No, I'm with you on the I Am Number 4 because I was a I was a Glee stan. So obviously Diane Agron or whatever, I can't remember her surname. She
that's
was
her name,
obviously
yeah.
in the I Am
Agron?
Number 4 book film. So I watched it. I really enjoyed it. So I'm with you. Next we go to Constance.
Well, I had trouble figuring something out because until about 5 years ago, I didn't follow all this behind the scenes drama. Like I was a happy mass consumer where I go watch the thing and I enjoy the thing and then it's over. So Zack Snyder, this whole thing is very special and very unique because of the nature of it. So I was like, okay, is there anything else that really is that worthy? And I was trying not to go with the comic book film, but it's so hard. I don't have strong feelings, but I wanted to bring up 2 things that I think they're kind of similar. So I've heard a lot of chatter about Fantastic Four with Josh Trank.
That was
I don't
mine,
know.
but I'm gonna
I
pick
don't know
another
how
one.
much of that
But yes,
is- Yeah, I don't know how much of that is because he flew off the handle and something happened and then they just took it from him, or if that's just him being whiny. I have no idea. I'm not really listening to that. But I'm not a huge Fantastic Four person, and part of the reason is I don't think I've seen a good movie from, it's like, is this property just not doable, or is it like, thank God Kevin Feige's here because he'll fix it?
Well, his career almost ended. It ended basically, Josh Trank, after that movie.
Yeah. So, but how much of that is he was in a bad place and he just needed help versus, oh, he was just being petulant, I don't want to give him a second chance if he's just going to throw a tantrum.
Well, Capone happened afterwards. He did Capone.
Okay, so, but I think if you want something that's more personal to me, that's similar, I like Age of Ultron, and I know a lot of people don't. Like, Avengers came out, and everyone's like, Joss Whedon's the best, and everyone loved Avengers. It's very rewatchable. And of course, in a way, Ultron could not do what it's got that sequelitis thing of, oh, you're not going to be as good as the first one, doesn't matter what he does. And the more I rewatch it, because I do like it, I see all these things. I'm like, look at them. They have to set up Civil War. They have to talk about Black Panther. They have to, introduce all these other things. Let's tease Ragnarok. I didn't realize that at the time, but the more I rewatch, I'm like, oh, look at all these breadcrumbs that are leading to that. It was just too much. I don't know why. Marvel is always being credited as, oh, we can take our time and we can do 20 movies before we actually show you Thanos. Well, that's a movie that really is off the path and it's not taking its time. It's all like, quick, get it in there before we lose our audience. So if people really don't like it, maybe they should be like, why don't we go back and not worry about, oh, we have to set all that up. It's coming and it's going to be great because the long game is better. And if they could just focus on making the whole Ultron thing more fleshed out, maybe people would respond to that movie better because it has really good things going on. But because it's so buried in other stuff, it kind of collapses on itself. But I don't think it's a horrible film. But if that's what the fans need to see what's good in it, maybe that should be redone because you can't make Avengers so good and then Ultron to some so crap. There's something wrong there, So that's something I would go. Like, I don't want to go with the comic book, but out of everything I researched, I was like, eh. So I feel like that's the best one for me to go with.
Thank you.
I think
Jack.
they should have Zack Snyder do some reshoots on Age of Ultron for Joss Whedon's movie.
Retribution.
Well, now that you've done
Full
had your little
circle.
shady comment, it's your
That would be
turn.
hilarious, though.
It would
That would
be.
be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
It's like Zack Snyder's Joss Whedon's Age of Ultron.
Age of Snyder.
Well, for mine, there's one basic one that I don't know if someone else is gonna say it, so I'll go with a different one. I'm gonna go with Revenge of the Sith from Star Wars. There's supposedly George Lucas shot I think an extra hour of footage that he himself didn't decide to put in there, but I would like to see it just because I like that movie. I don't know how many prequel fans are here, but I like that movie.
Is that the
And-
No,
third?
I'm with
Is
you.
that the
I'm
third
with
of
you.
the first three?
The last one, yeah. And we could see like more Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff, maybe more Darth Vader stuff. Maybe
Why
they
he chose to kill all the younglings
Yeah,
or whatever they're called?
maybe show Baby Yoda escaping. You could have Dave Filoni come in and like reshoots and add some Ahsoka stuff because she's really popular now. So I'd like to see some of that, but that's never gonna happen. So
The more of Bryony's
Good
cousin,
idea,
the
though.
better.
yes.
As long as he doesn't add another woman with frog lips, the frog lady
Yeah.
singing into the microphone, then I'm fine.
No, we don't want to see her.
So thank you. So now we will go to next in line, Yousef.
Okay, so this is not a Marvel movie. This is not a DC movie. This is actually an original superhero movie that's inspired by Superman. Before Brightburn, there was a movie that starred Will Smith called Hancock. Anyone remember that one, Hancock?
I knew you were going to say
Yes! It was
So
on a
I
list.
was
Yes.
searching through it all. I was looking at, apparently this film was cut so badly. Well, I end up liking the original cut, but apparently this original cut of Hancock was supposed to be more serious in tone, more darker in tone, heavy R, because, well, I think they toned it down for like comedy reasons. The studio, whoever was in charge of it, did not like its initial, I guess, tone, I should say. So I guess they just made it a comedy. And, I liked it fine, but I'm now interested in seeing this more serious version of his character that I like. And we're never going to sequel to it. It sucks.
I wonder if Jason Bateman was added after or before they switched to that darker tone, because he definitely seems like a comedic choice.
Yeah, or was, spoiler alert, was Charlize Theron was she the villain like originally?
Yeah, I think she was supposed to be the villain, wasn't she?
Was there any villains in that movie apart from her?
There was, but they're forgettable. I forgot who they were.
No, I like that one. I do like that one. Next we have Natalia.
Hello. I was also going to do Fan Four Stick, but then I did some more Googling, and then I'm hello and welcome to I Miss 2D Animation, specifically DreamWorks. I really love it when DreamWorks did their 2D animation. I'm going back to my Sinbad Legend of the Seven Seas phase because Eris, the goddess of discord, is very attractive. I really love that movie. And it made no money. But then again, okay, this is mainly prompted by Treasure Planet and how that movie was set up to die because they released it like the same week or the week after a Harry Potter movie came out. And then that was the end of 2D from there. And I really miss 2D animation. You can't do Eris in 3D animation. You can't do like a good majority of the stuff of Treasure Planet. You can't have the little goopy boy in 3D, and that's very disappointing. I really miss 2D animation. Now I know what my topic is going to be for my own episode. Okay, bye.
Natalia, what movie did you say? Because we are different generations here. I'm missing it.
Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, and
Sinbad,
Treasure
okay.
Planet.
Sinbad for me is a comedian
I
who is
know.
freckles. Okay.
I know.
We had Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Brad Pitt,
Yeah,
Angelina Jolie,
and Michelle Pfeiffer.
as Eris, the goddess of discord. Okay, bye.
Is that like when I was graduating high school? Probably.
2000.
2003.
Yeah.
2003. I was
Wow,
one.
graduating from college. Okay.
Okay, so next, so you may as well have kept yourself unmuted because it's you, Yousef. Tell us your awful
yay.
pick.
Well, I am like when I read this question, I wasn't like excited because I'm under the belief of the fact that there's no such thing as studio interference. I think that the director is hired to do a job for the studio. It's their money. Obviously, the Zack Snyder situation is different. Like the analogy I like to use is like a director is like a tattoo artist. You know, like you don't tell your tattoo artist, just go wild, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, no. So I had a hard time with this question. I was gonna say the original Star Wars trilogy because I wanted to see like the Jar Jar is evil thing that they were maybe planning. But I don't want them to go back and remake this.
Question. This is not in your own image.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go with the Ayer cut. I don't know if somebody already said that because I went away for a little bit.
It was also on my list.
Yeah. I only want to see it for business reasons. I think Warner Brothers, this is a smart business decision for them to make to go from the Snyder cut to the Ayer cut. It'll make like a nice little pack of films on HBO Max. I have no interest in seeing it, to be completely honest with you. I don't think David Ayer is a good filmmaker. I've seen his other films. It's the same thing with Josh Trank and Fantastic Four. Like I saw Capone, he literally shit the bed. I don't need to see him, fuck up Fantastic Four. So yeah, that's what I want. I want to see more Joker, and I just think it will be successful if they do it because of how successful the Snyder cut was. But in terms of like ones I want to see, I don't really want to see any of them because I don't believe in studio interference.
Maybe Katana will have a line. Maybe she will say a word.
This is Katana. She's got my back. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims.
And
I
that's
should
all
get
I
that
got.
tattooed. I want to get that tattooed just on my forehead.
You know where the James Gunn will redeem the Suicide Squad. He will.
James Gunn, I have faith in James Gunn. Well,
we have faith.
Faith is
but-
the wrong word. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be better.
Oh, he
So
scrolls.
next in line is our little evil Irish jigamabob. Ben, tell us. You've already gotten what you want, but tell us something else.
Well, it's very, very interesting because this situation is very, very similar to the Snyder cut. And to what I was thinking about the Ayer cut and Fantastic Four, but they're pretty obvious, especially for me. So I chose to bring to light the production of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, you all probably just think, oh, it's a Halloween film, like yada, yada, yada. But the series was in a really bad place post Halloween 5. The film had come out like a year later after the Halloween 4, which was a big hit. And they released Halloween 5. That was a big bomb and nobody liked it. So the series was kind of paused, and the producers, the Akkads, who had the series in the beginning, they decided to kind of pause and like rethink what they were doing. So in 1990, there was a draft written by a writer called Daniel Farrens, and he handed his draft in. Everybody loved it. They wanted to make that movie. But unfortunately, legal battles over the rights for Halloween, they kind of delayed production. So eventually, Dimension Films, owned by the Weinsteins, who play a very big part in this story, they purchased the rights. So then they ordered a new script because they didn't like the one Daniel Farrens had done. So there were several new scripts from several different writers. And one of the writers was actually Quentin Tarantino. He did a draft for this movie. There were about 10 to 15 writers, and Quentin Tarantino was one of them. But in 1994, the OG writer, Daniel Farrens, was brought back to do a new script. And it was a very franchise-centric script. It was going to tie together all the movies. It was going to have Jamie Lloyd in a really big role. But as you do, there was about 10 drafts between June and October written. So they had to film in October, so they started filming. They hired a director who was not a fan of the Halloween franchise. He's quoted as saying, I took the job of Halloween 6 because I had a 3-picture deal with the Weinsteins, and this was like one of the first movies I can make. So yeah. During production, there was like deep division between the Akkads, the original producers, the Weinsteins, and the writer Daniel Farrens. There was a producer, Paul Freeman, who was rewriting scenes like on the day. He would send crew members home, and he even deleted days of footage while he was on set. So yeah. So then they did test screenings of the original rough cut, and they screened it for like a group of like 14 to 16-year-old boys, and the film was like very, it was a very dark and gothic film. So naturally, it didn't work well. They wanted it to be flashier. They didn't really like the story. So the reshoots were ordered to be more like MTV. And this is very similar to the Snyder Cut, because what they did was they completely redid the score. They brought in new editors. They brought in new cinematographers. They brought in a new actor to play Michael Myers. So the continuity is completely off. The guy's way thinner in the reshoots. They reshot the entire ending, and then they cut Donald Pleasance, who plays Dr. Loomis. He had died, so he couldn't reshoot. So they just cut like all of his character out of the movie because they didn't like him. The Weinsteins personally didn't like him. They also were quoted as saying to the lead actress, Marianne Hagen, that they didn't want her for the role because she was too skinny. Make of that what you will. So the score was redone, and then the theatrical cut was released, and it was the biggest bomb of the entire franchise. But there was always this rumored producer's cut, like, the original version. That, obviously it wasn't finished. It wasn't the original version with the proper script they wanted it. But there was the producer's cut, and for years this was circling around Hollywood. It was very similar to the Snyder Cut situation. I find it really fascinating. And so eventually, years later, they remastered the film, and then they released it on Blu-ray as Halloween 6, the producer's cut, and I really enjoy the movie. It's actually a very interesting story. I think it's an okay movie. I think people don't give that movie enough credit. I like it a lot, and that is my story. It's a wild one.
Thank you for that, Novell. And last but not least, we have Madeline.
Okay, so I almost went with Quantum of Solace, but the caveat there is that it was screenplay issues because of the writer's strike, so not studio interference per se. So I readdressed the situation. This is a movie I have not seen and I will never see, a franchise I have not seen and I will never see, but this is honor of my husband. So he loves Aliens and Terminator and all things masculine, right? And so he was saying Aliens 3 really was a problem. So can you believe the director of Aliens 3 was someone who was hired after Vincent Ward was fired, and the director was David Fincher. So David Fincher was supposed to be, he was the director technically of Aliens 3. But there was so much studio interference, so many reshoots and new scenes that they asked him to do that they demanded that he do. And he was given like no creative liberty at all, that he actually publicly disowned the film. He hated the film in its final version so much, he said he publicly disowned it. But can you imagine, this was filmed in '92, missing an original, from David Fincher's point of view, an Aliens movie from his perspective. 95, he would do 7, 99, he would do Fight Club, and that we don't have an actual creative vision of Aliens from David Fincher's perspective in the 90s. That's just such a waste. So for my husband's sake, because even if he were to remake this today, I would still not watch it, but my husband would love it. So for him to miss out on an Aliens 3, plus he hated, as soon as it started out, like Aliens 2, the second one, at least the sequel, Aliens had this last, sorry, spoilers, but if you have not watched this from the 90s, it's too damn bad. So anyway, from the 90s, that second movie, there were some Hail Mary saving of lives that happened. In Aliens 3, though, or Alien 3, those people, except for Sigourney Weaver, immediately die within the first 5 minutes. That just pissed my husband off from the immediate. It's really hard to get him to talk negatively about movies. It only took a few promptings for me to get him really upset about this movie. Once I told him what I was going to be talking about, he was like, well, let me tell you. And then our whole evening in front of the pool was talking about how horrible this movie was. So anyway, I think if David Fincher actually had a chance to make his own version of this movie, it would have been really visually and storytelling striking, as opposed to what we got or what he got. I haven't seen it.
I like it. No, because I too hate Aliens 3. I am fully with your husband. It is disgusting what they did.
Halloween
So-
6 does the exact same thing, by the way. They kill off Jamie Lloyd, who was the leader of the franchise for 2 whole movies, and they kill her off in like a barn in the first 10 minutes. They did the exact same thing. It's a very
like
similar story.
Luke Skywalker tossing the lightsaber. You know, it's a lightsaber tossing moment.
Like a Terminator as well, with the last film.
Oh yeah, shit, I forgot about that. Really
Mm.
screwed the pooch with that one, didn't they?
That was a good movie. Shut up.
I mean, it wasn't awful, but that
I'm just
like,
pointing out that
as an older
these
person
characters
who's
died.
like was there from the beginning, that's a kick in the dick when you turn it on to find them shooting John Connor. You're just like,
Yeah, but it was
Um,
always Linda Hamilton's story, though. Like, it was never, like, in my opinion, I think she's a better anchor than John Connor. And so I really like them focusing in more on her than John. I appreciate that in this movie. But, you know, it's kind of how you view the franchise. Clearly, more people view it as John's franchise than they do her franchise. So, you know.
I view it as Arnold Schwarzenegger's.
Oh hey, thanks for watching. And remember, full episodes are available wherever you get your podcasts.
With new episodes Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, links in the description box.
And be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to stay caught up to date with The Council.
Boys, I'm excited.